Come, let's watch the rain as it's falling down.
It's Brenda, Wolf, and Diane. So listen up if you can. Yeah, journey with them today as they help you find your way. Oh, mental wellness is the topic of the hour. Mental health and the power to tap into our alignments will lead to our refinement. Phoenix Talk, a show like you've never seen. Phoenix Talks, awareness that has never been. Phoenix Talks with Brenda, Wolf, and Diane. Phoenix Talks, so tune in if you can.
Welcome, everybody, to Phoenix Talks with Brindle Wolf, myself, and my lovely co host, Diane.
Hello.
And we are live on YouTube, Twitch, and TikTok tonight. And I'll probably interrupt the conversation a little bit here and there for the TikTok viewers, just to remind them that any chat that you guys have over there, I will neither one of us will be able to see. So if you'd like to join the chat, look me up over on YouTube under my name, Micah Grant, or you can check me out over on Twitch under Brindalizer, and that's with a YZ. So we got a fun topic tonight.
We really do. I'm excited for this one. All right, you chose it. Go ahead. You announce it.
So anybody who knows me knows lately I've been kind of quiet. A little more than usual. Well, that's because I got re-triggered.
Okay.
The craziest thing was, little backstory. Because I made the decision that I was going to try and complain less, which gave me less to talk about, first off. But then while I'm sitting there getting myself back together and working through things, I discover Suno, which created the opening song that you guys just heard. And I had lots of lyrics that I had written years ago, kind of as therapy for what I was going through. They got those emotions that I worked through. Once I heard them being sung back to me, yeah, Brendo got emotionally re-triggered. So that's what we're going to talk about.
So we're going to talk on the topic of why you have repeat triggers and repeat lessons.
And there's a lot of reasons.
Yes, and what does that mean for you, and all that wonderful stuff. So how did you handle that re-trigger?
I took my own advice.
Okay.
And
which was?
Allowed myself to feel.
Okay.
I mean, that's when we're dealing, because there's a lot of grief, a lot of resentment, a lot of wish I could have, but I didn't. That's behind a lot of what I felt. God, I wish I could have done things differently. God, I wish I could have seen this differently. So all of this stuff just came flooding back in. And, I'm a glutton for punishment. So I literally did one right after the other of these lyrics. So it wasn't like I gave myself time. But then it was just one of those things of, okay, the feelings that you're feeling, they don't exist. The things that happened that cause these feelings don't exist. They're not in the now. You didn't write the lyrics yesterday. You wrote most of them in 2013 and 2021 because of whatever you were dealing with then. And what's crazy is that two of the songs. One was how I dealt with the passing of my father.
Okay.
That was the first one that I wrote. Then the second one was how I dealt with what I call stolen moments that I can't get back. And that was one of the catalysts that helped to start turn things around, because when we think about stolen moments that we can't get back, it is 100% true. So giving ourselves the permission to recognize that whatever that was is over.
Yeah. And maybe that's why you were re-triggered for this particular instance and circumstance. So why do we get re-triggered? We get re-triggered because there's some more information for us to learn about ourselves and to understand about ourselves. And there's an opportunity for us to shift mindsets and feelings on a deeper level. So it's like giving us an opportunity to heal on a deeper level and come to a higher level of understanding, or more macro or bigger level of understanding for ourselves, so that we can choose how to address ourselves differently moving forward.
Mm-hmm.
So what did you take away from that trigger?
Which one?
Let's go with the first one, where you were allowing yourself to feel the resentment and whatever else came up.
Which is multi-layered on its own, because one of the other songs was Heal to a Scar, because there's a lot of wounds that, a Band-Aid has been put over them for decades.
Okay.
But, like something a doctor would not do is, okay, hey doc, I'm not quite sure if my arm is healed from being broken. Can you check? Doctor's not going to re-break the arm.
Right.
And if a wound isn't healed, the doctor's not going to say, well, let me open up the wound so that I can see if it's healing right. Huh? But we do this. And that's one of the biggest takeaways that I'm trying, me myself. I mean, my God, I do this for a living. And if I can't do it for myself, who the fuck else is going to do it with me?
Right.
So it's one of those things of, okay, you got to work on this. And this is mirror talk. You. And maybe you, the viewer, too. And just remember, to the TikTok people, if you're watching and you're trying to comment, I can't see it. TikTok and Restream aren't on the best of relationships. Anyway, I'm going to throw that in when I think about it, just so that people are on TikTok aren't like, why isn't he addressing me? So,
yeah.
But dealing with the inability to change things that I did, or how I saw things, dealing with that inability. Okay, what can you do different now?
Right.
Do you want to continue to put out to the universe that you can't change? Do you want to continue to put out that you're not willing to finally begin to recognize what it is that you have been holding yourself back with? And I tell you what, the response that I've gotten, Diane and I were talking, this is the only thing that we talked about before the show, but we were talking about all the tests that the universe has been putting out saying, are you sure?
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of that going on. Are you sure?
Yeah. And so it's an opportunity to reevaluate, and it's an opportunity to revisit and allow yourself permission to walk through, because you're at a different level of understanding now. You've learned a lot more. You've changed a lot. You've shifted a lot as a human being in your own personal growth journey. So viewing it from new, fresh eyes with new, fresh ideas is, you're doing it now more effectively and more efficiently than you would have done years ago when you just slapped the Band-Aid over it to try to, stop it from leaking out.
Yeah.
And through good, positive means or things, it was a soft, safe way for those emotions to come back up again, for you to, just as a gentle reminder, okay, this is a happy-go-lucky thing, so it doesn't apply here. Let's make that a safe way to bring this back up again, because he ain't looked at that in a while. That's got to come back now. So
Are you sure?
We get these opportunities when there are still some unresolved issues. And I call them opportunities because that's what they are, because the whole point of all of this is for us to get to know ourselves to the point where we're not triggered, right?
Or to know how to deal with it when they come up.
Right. Well, you got that part.
And that's another layer, because, in the promo, I was talking about how you go to therapy, you go to a coach, you go to a psychiatrist, you take the pills, however it is that you work through whatever is triggering you, you think you got it done. And then all of a sudden, you smell something, you hear something, you read something, you taste something. And it's back.
Right.
Just as strongly as it was before.
Right. Only this time you're equipped with tools and skills that you didn't have before. And it's an opportunity to practice what you've learned, to implement those new thought patterns and behaviors. Yes, it's going to be uncomfortable because you're still having the same physiological response, because your body is going to be a lot slower than this part. Your spirit and mind have already worked through some stuff, but your body's back into that programmed fight or flight response to that specific stimuli, regardless of the setting that it's in now. So that this is the time where you have an opportunity to hit that pause button and say, does this apply to why these emotions are coming up? Nope, this situation is good, so therefore let me work through it. Yeah. My body, I appreciate you for keeping me safe, but I got this. We good now.
Thank you for locking that away for a later use. I appreciate you.
You gotta do it. And you gotta give yourself an opportunity to walk through it. You gotta feel it to heal it, right?
Yeah. And part of getting re-triggered is from compartmentalization. Mm-hmm. I mean, you just have the reminders, then you have compartmentalization, and then you just have the muscle memory.
Right.
So let's go with the second one, which just escaped my mind. Squirrel.
Squirrels happen. It's okay. It'll come back. Did it come back?
No.
Okay. This might bring it back. The other thing that I wanted to mention is that we usually feel like, well, I already worked through that. Okay, you did, but these circumstances look a little bit different. So you're feeling that again because there's still more things to review in new circumstances, in different conditions, with a different mindset, with where you're at in your own evolutionary personal growth journey.
Right.
So it's not that you didn't finish working through it, or that there was something that you thought you were done with. it's a cycle. Everything is going to come back around. Everything's going to come back for your greater understanding. So don't be hard on yourself if you do get re-triggered. It's it's an opportunity to practice even more self-compassion and understanding.
Because the situation that usually brings it back is something that was very similar to what caused it.
Mm-hmm.
And compartmentalization, that was the second one that I forgot. It did come back. But yeah, and sometimes when we compartmentalize it, we think that we've worked through it because
Mm-hmm.
we don't feel it. We're not sad anymore. We're not in that zone because we've just kind of locked it away. And this is how muscle memory is created, by the way.
Right. Right.
Well, one of the ways, because there's a lot of ways that muscle memory is created. But
Right.
saying, okay, I don't have time to deal with this because I have too much other things going on. This cannot get in the way, and it gets locked away, forgotten about until, oh, wait, there it is.
Right. Right. Now, when we compartmentalize, my definition of what that would just be slapping a label on it and throwing it in the back burner. Like, I'll give you a great example of that, of compartmentalizing. Oh, well, that kind of stuff just happened. So you just forget it. You get over it. How many of us have done that? That's throwing it into the, oh, it's just something that happens and you need to just get over it. Like it's a light switch you can turn on and off.
Yeah.
Or something you can unplug. I think everyone has been guilty of stating that to themselves at some point in time. So it's definitely going to come back into your experience and resurface for you to address, sometimes in harsher forms, because you're sweeping it under the rug, proverbially speaking. So that compartmentalization ends up becoming that bypassing thing that you keep hearing about, where you're emotionally bypassing, spiritually bypassing, whatever terminology you want to throw on it, you're bypassing instead of actually addressing the issues. Mm-hmm. Maybe at the time you keep sweeping it under the rug, you don't have the energy to deal with it. You don't have the stamina to go through the range of emotions. You might have to, when it resurfaces, you might have to just bite the billet and go for it. Because at the end of the day, it's the stories that you're telling yourself that make it worse than it is, especially if the situation and circumstances are not the same as a previous. I'm not talking about situations that are the same and a repeat. Then you send up the red flags and you get yourself into a better state and place. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about things are different and I'm okay. Why am I still reacting?
Mm-hmm.
Because you didn't deal with it the first time.
Yeah.
And your mind has told you stories now to protect you. But that overly exuberant self-preservation mode, survival mode, is now sabotaging you and blocking you from your growth.
Yeah. Quick shout out to the viewers. If you're watching over on YouTube or Twitch, give us a quick hey so we can see that you're watching, because all I see is that people are watching. I don't see who. And if you're over on TikTok and you're trying to comment and wondering why neither one of us are saying, hey, you, it's because we can't see you. Restream doesn't allow it yet.
Right.
But,
I don't see anyone on this feed.
No, they've been really quiet tonight because they're probably wondering, where the hell's Brindle going with this?
Well, we're exactly where we need to be at with this.
Exactly.
This is something that happens to all of us. The repeat of lessons that we thought we already took care of and emotions that we thought we mastered already. Because, I mastered this. What do you mean I got triggered? We're all still subject to the human condition, and we all still have to pause ourselves and look at our situations and life from an observatory circumstance and view, so that we can decide what parts of those experiences we don't want to re-experience, and why they came up.
Yeah. And there's a huge difference between I can't deal with this right now. And it is what it is.
Mm-hmm.
Now, a lot of people think that it is what it is kind of a negative way to say it. And for the longest time, I was like, well, that's just giving in and giving up. Not always.
Right.
Because sometimes if you reach a point where you just say, it is what it is, you've accepted, and not in a bad way, that whatever it is that's happening, whatever it is that you're feeling, you need to feel it, you need to experience it, and there's nothing that you can damn do about it.
Right.
Except to get through it. And
Right.
giving yourself the permission to get through it and being like, okay, it is what it is. What do I need to do next?
Mm-hmm.
Not, I can't deal with that, putting it away, forgetting about it. And then a month later, boom, there it is. You put it away again. Oh, there it is. I know people like this. I will not bring up any names. But I do know people that have compartmentalized so much that once they start taking the layers off, you want to talk about re-triggered.
Right.
It's going to happen, and it's going to hurt on a physical, spiritual, emotional, mental level. If you are one of these people that is just compartmentalized, piled on, can't deal with it right now, don't have the time, don't have the energy, sometimes, and you've heard me talk about this, if you follow me on Facebook, you've read about this.
Right.
Give yourself the permission to grieve, to heal,
Mm-hmm.
to understand the feelings that you're having. And that's what a trigger is trying to do. It's the body's signal. Get out. I don't want this anymore.
Right. 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 And now you have the tools. Now you have the ability to pause yourself and to reflect lovingly and compassionately on what's happening and reevaluating the situation, walking yourself through it. If you can't because you're, at grandma's house and, they're about to serve cake, that doesn't mean don't go revisit it later on. You can put it on the shelf for now, but that doesn't mean that you shouldn't block yourself some time to work through that. And whatever that's going to look like to you, I mean, there's always some time that you give yourself for something, even if it's in the shower, because that's your alone time.
Mm-hmm.
Well, use that as an opportunity to revisit those emotions and allow yourself to walk through what's going on with me and why is that coming up, and is that really how I feel or really applicable, and what can I be feeling different, and what's reminding me, and just ask yourself the gambit of questions you need to ask yourself in order to get yourself to walk through it and understand things differently.
Yeah. Over in the Rise Radio chat, Mersh, if you're still watching, there should be a chat bar at the bottom of the screen on your phone. Just tap on that and you should be able to type your whatever it is that you need to say. But hello, if that was all that you were going to say. Glad to see you. Glad you're here. All right. So I just wanted to check that real quick.
Mm-hmm.
And don't forget, TikTokers, you can't comment on here because I know that in and out happens a lot on TikTok, and it's really fast because they'll just be scrolling through the live feeds. So if you're in and out on TikTok, we can't see your chat, we can't see your comments. So be sure to, if you want, throw me a DM and I will respond later, or come over to my YouTube, or it's in the link in my bio. All right. Okay, enough of that interruption.
So when do we get re-triggered? In plenty of circumstances, with family, just doing ourselves a chore or something around the house might trigger us. Getting into a new relationship will definitely trigger you. Anywhere that resembles a circumstance that made you feel unsafe has the potential to re-trigger you.
I'm hearing we should dance around the relationship limb.
Okay. So whenever you're in a new relationship, A lot of our damage happens because of interactions with people who said they loved us. And we didn't feel that we received the kind of love that we expected to from that person or would have liked to have from that person. So if we felt unsafe in our intimate dynamics, that's where most of the damage is done, and that's where most of the retriggering is going to happen. So especially when you're in a new relationship, and it doesn't matter if that's a new friendship, it doesn't matter if that's a new romantic relationship, or if you just met a long distance cousin that you're now trying to get to know.
Yeah.
The point is it's the most intimate setting that does the most damage, because those folks are supposed to love you. And some of those folks were so difficult that you spend the rest of your life trying to get the difficult person to like you or to be okay with you. And that translates in all the new relationships that you have, unless you're being aware of yourself and addressing all of those triggers. You might sabotage something new that is completely benign and harmless. So it's important that when you get that trigger, you address, okay, is this resembling the other circumstance that it's
Right.
reminding me of?
Right.
Or is this completely healthy and safe? And I'm fearful that it's going to be, or looks like, or is the same as that I never want to experience again.
Right.
So
And
here's
this
your
is when
opportunity.
communication is key.
Yeah.
And people are going to have similar behaviors, ways that they say things, way that they do things. That's going to remind you it's going to happen. I mean, even though we're so different, all 9 billion of us, we're so different, but we're so alike, which is why they're able to write books about it, right? About what goes on up here. That's how they can write books, because there's so many similarities. So when you leave one relationship for the reasons that you know, that only you know the reasons. You told him or her why. Okay? You get into a new one. Now, like Diane said, something happens, something said that reminds you directly about why you left the other person. Did you say, or did you think, you're treating me the exact reason why I left the other person? Did you say it? Did you think it? You felt it. You got triggered. Now, think about it deeper. Was it at you? Or was it towards you? If it was at you, then yes, they are treating you exactly the same way as the fucker that you just left. If it's toward you, you got triggered. And if the person that you are with now truly means what they say, and you say, that I'm sorry for my reaction, you just reminded me of something that I was trying to get away from and thought that I did not have with you. But no, we just want to get butthurt, and we just want to get in each other's faces and say, you did this to me. Really?
Right. We're only responsible for how we respond to our circumstances, environment, and people. We're not responsible for what we perceive them to be doing or saying. We're responsible for how we respond to it, if that makes sense. Our perception is limited to our personal experience. So your perception could be incorrect. Um,
Even if it's your reality,
right?
even though it's your reality. So,
Right,
yes.
right, right. But again, that's the key words. It's your reality. The other
Mhm.
person may not have ever intended what you believe to be true, what you perceive to be true. You're only going based on your own data that you've collected from your history, which was ugly. And so, yeah, the similarities are there, but do they apply to this circumstances? So communication, circling back to what you originally were talking about, is key because you need to bring this, hey, well, how do I supposed to bring it up? And how what if they react in a certain way? Well, those are your fears driving you and you're re-triggering yourself.
Yes.
Ultimately, when it comes to a relationship dynamic, whatever kind of relationship it is, family, friend, intimate, it's not up for debate how they react or respond to you. Because if you're asking them for clarification on a specific situation or some words that were said, that's harmless. And you're asking it in truth, relevance, and kindness to whatever it was that you felt. If you start jumping in with, you did this to me, and start blaming and shaming and making somebody feel guilty for something that they may never have intended to begin with,
Right.
your triggers are taking over and you're not being fair in the situation. So you need to hit that pause button. We love to say, hit the pause button. It's
Mhm.
my favorite thing to say anyway. Hit the pause button and evaluate. Yes. Evaluate. Communicate. Ask the person for clarification kindly.
Mhm.
If their reaction is that of defensiveness and anger and agitation, instead of immediately jumping to I did something wrong and taking it personally and getting re-triggered and going back into your fight, flight, freeze, or fawn modes, hit the pause button again and ask for further clarification.
Yeah.
I see that you weren't comfortable with the way I asked that. Is there a better way I could have asked that? I'm simply asking because I had a response to it that I'm questioning within myself. So I just want to check myself and check in with you and see where you're at based on this particular circumstance and situation. Is there a reason, or what does it mean to you that you stated this? Or is there a reason that you stated this with regards to that? Whatever it is you want to say, you can say it in a very kind and direct and truthful way that's relevant to the circumstances. If you let emotions take over and you start going off the track and removing facts that are current in that specific circumstance, then you're not giving yourself an opportunity to walk through the trigger with a level head. If you need to give yourself a few minutes because it's that kind of a trigger, I'd rather you gave yourself a few minutes to excuse yourself.
Yeah.
And respectfully say, can we revisit this in about 20 minutes? I need a minute to think of something because this is bringing something up for me that I need to think about.
It's this face. If somebody makes that face at you, okay.
Right. A healthy individual who you bring these things up to will be able to have the emotional maturity and intellect to say, yeah, okay, that's cool. I understand. Is there something I said that, wasn't okay? If you need time to work on it, I get it. That's fine. This is what you should be hearing.
Mm-hmm.
The healthy, if you start hearing defensiveness, like, what's your problem now? I didn't say anything. Then that's a red flag. And yeah, you are experiencing the same crap. Get the fuck out. Excuse my language.
I don't care. I'd rather hear the truth.
It's if you allow yourself permission to be uncomfortable for a moment and ask for clarification and communicate the facts behind what your potential needs might be in that moment, you'll be okay. Yeah, if they don't react right, then then you know you've been validated.
Right.
Your feelings are correct. It's a warning.
And if they don't give you the opportunity and the looks like, smells like trigger wasn't just a trigger,
Mm-hmm.
bye, Felicia.
Right. Right. I mean, triggers are mainly there to protect us. So, like, the reason why we have a trigger is because our body is protecting us. Our brain is protecting us from danger. We felt unsafe in those circumstances at some point in history.
let's
So,
let's put it into a physical example. Okay. I want you to go to the kitchen. I want you to turn your stove on, okay? And I want you to get it really, really hot. And then I want you to put your hand on it and just hold it and wait to see if it's going to stop hurting. Don't really do that. I'm just teasing. But when you burn yourself, when you accidentally touch something, you have it triggers that pain response so that you pull your hand away so that you don't continue to get hurt. So when you have an emotional re-trigger, it's the opportunity, because looks like, smells like, feels like, or it is the exact same thing, like in my case, we talked about at the beginning, where it was the exact same thing that I thought I had worked through right back in my face. So it's the opportunity to take a different look at it. It's the opportunity to be done with it. It's not going away.
right.
Let's be clear on that.
Yeah.
Your grief, your resentment, the mistakes that you made in the past, the mistakes that other people made on you in the past, those feelings, those memories aren't going away.
Yeah.
Sorry.
So I'm going to put a little spin on it for your homework, because your homework is going to be to reframe your mindset around being triggered. Again, triggers are just there to bring to your attention and surface things for you that need your love and attention and kindness and healing. So give yourself instead a pat on the back because, ooh, you've leveled up so that you have another opportunity to readdress some things that you weren't prepared to address when they came up a previous time. So that's an indicator that you're moving forward. It's up to you if you want to choose to move forward or go jump right back into that old hamster wheel. It's almost like here's your crossroads. Do you want to jump back into that old hamster wheel and repeat some cycles, or do you want to pat yourself on the back and say, hey, you must have leveled up enough to have to readdress this. So cool, let's go.
Yeah.
So reframing it in your mind, no shame, no guilt, no judgment, no expectations, allowing yourself simply to observe and analyze so that you give yourself the opportunity to work through whatever emotions were there. And remind yourself, you may get physically re-triggered because the body's a lot slower than these two. That's okay. It will get better each time something similar comes up. The idea is that it gets easier and easier and easier, and you don't have that same physiological response to that particular item. I mean, I can give you a ridiculous example for you to see even a simple circumstance. You know, if you come from a history of abuse, there's one thing for me, like with my abusive ex-husband, that still today, part of my subconscious takes a look at my windshield to make sure my easy pass is there so I don't get in trouble. So it took a few years for me to not have that panic in my physical body, just to check to see if it was there, to make sure it was there. So, you know, there's different circumstances and situations that might take longer for your body to address and heal, depending on what kind of experiences you've had and triggers and traumas you've experienced. So you have to give yourself compassion and grace. You have to forgive yourself and thank your body for, and it sounds cheesy, but just try it. Who the hell's judging you but you? Thank your body for alerting you to a familiar circumstance, but remind yourself that you're safe now and that it no longer applies.
Yeah.
Okay? In any type of trigger, circumstance, and situation. So your homework is to reframe it as an opportunity to learn about yourself and choose something different and work through things you weren't prepared to work through before that you are prepared to now. Shift your frame.
It's part of the healing.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the song Heal to a Scar, it's basically stop picking at the scab.
Mm-hmm.
Go through the layers.
Yeah.
Let it heal. The scar is
Right.
going. The scar, okay, trigger, is always going to be there. Like I said, like she said. But once you allow the feelings to come through that you're feeling, understand them. Understand what it is you're feeling, why you're feeling the way that you are, what the circumstances were around it. Give yourself permission. There's nothing wrong with that. Once you understand them, okay, I now also understand I don't have to feel this way when X hits that spot.
Mm-hmm.
And X could be an EX.
Right.
Because
Right.
a lot of times previous triggers are going to be an
Yeah.
EX, not an X.
Right.
That hits the
Where
spot.
your roommate reminds you of your mother, like just there's all kinds of different dynamics.
Right? Right?
Whatever dynamic relationship is, whatever, just the communication is key. As long as you remind yourself you're having your own experience based on your trauma. So give yourself an opportunity to clarify with communication and give yourself the opportunity to walk through it.
Can also ask a very odd question. You're coming up again to teach me what? What did I miss the first time?
Mm-hmm.
And you can literally ask this out loud to
Mm-hmm.
yourself. What did I miss? Why is this coming back up?
Right.
As the phone rings.
Right. Now, sometimes if something comes back up, it is a warning symbol. It is for you to have an opportunity to recognize those red flags and warnings and handle it very differently than you did in the past. So it's an opportunity to implement the new behaviors and thought patterns that you didn't have the opportunity to when you reacted in an unhealthy way the last time you were triggered.
Yeah.
So triggers are opportunities to see what's coming to the surface for you to address. It's not right or wrong. There's no good or bad. It just is.
Yeah.
And that's okay.
I really wish I could see what TikTok people are saying. I really do. But somehow I've noticed that the Twitch chat, it's completely empty. And the YouTube chat, it's complete. I don't know if I turned something off by accident and it's just not coming through or what. But if you're over on TikTok and you've been trying to chat, just one more time as a reminder, I can't see it. We can't see it.
And if they do go to the YouTube, they can leave a comment, right?
Absolutely,
for the video,
they could.
and then we can
Absolutely.
respond that way. Mm-hmm.
Oh, I don't want that one. Let me just check. Okay, it did go to the chat over there. Okay, we're good.
Yeah, and we're at 6:43, so I don't know if you want to close it out.
Yeah, I thought that we would start to bring it to a close. Time for shameless plugs. I'm a ladies first this week.
Diane Ardibiasi on Facebook and Instagram and heal.me. And my name is on the screen, so you can type
and what
it
was
in
your
just
website
like
again?
that.
I'm actually going to type it in the chat so I can have it on the screen.
It's actually on heal.me, so it's my name. But if you go to my Facebook feed, there's a link in there that you can just click on.
Awesome. All right.
Yeah.
So just use her name on the screen. It'll be if you're over on my YouTube, because this won't be saved on Twitch. The only place this will be saved is on YouTube. So you'll be able to go into the description and you'll find her link to the links. If you're
The
watching
linky
on
links.
TikTok, go over to my bio and click on the link for YouTube. Go over, click that subscribe button, click on the bell so you get the notifications when either I'm going live with Diane, or I'm going live with Carrie, or I'm going live just by myself.
Yeah.
Because you never know what's going to go on and what I'm going to get inspired to do. So that's going to be there. If you are over on Facebook and you haven't already joined Evolve and Emerge, which is my private group over there, that will also be in the description that you can find. I may even put a link at the end of the video once YouTube stops doing whatever it needs to do at the end. And then I just want to also let everybody know that I have changed how I offer readings. My one-off sessions, they now include, it's a 60-minute session, and they include 3 follow-up 15-minute interactions via voice message on Messenger after the reading. So you'll be able to maintain a little bit of contact with me if there was anything else that you needed to find out. And I just released that today, which is why I'm bringing it up on here. And the investment for that is $333. And it's steep, but I'm not a 900 number psychic. And that's why.
That's a great number.
Right? Because it's the number of guidance here for you, going to lead you to where you need to go and show you the patterns that you're not paying attention to.
Mm-hmm.
So, great conversation tonight. Great conversation.
Yes. I love being re-triggered. I just roll up my sleeves and be like, okay, what do we got? Let's go.
Well, that makes one of us.
Listen, I didn't say some of them aren't going to hurt like a bitch, but
Well, that's true. That's true.
It's all right.
And the re-triggers, they brought up some amazing music that I'll be able to share. Follow me over on Suno. It's Brindalizer. Go figure. So. Well, it's your turn for next week, and you'll let me know in the next couple of days what that topic is going to be, and then I will blast out whatever we're going to be talking about for next week. So
yes and yes.
Take care of your triggers. Watch them. They're there to teach you.
Yep.
About you.
Reframe.
About how to love and how to love yourself. So just reframe them as your internal guides, your internal wisdom, your internal teachers.
Yeah.
We'll just help give them voice if need
be. Yeah.
And, just because I like it so much, I'm going to replay the opening for the closing. So Perfect. You guys have an amazing night, and we will see you next week right back here, 6 p.m. Eastern.
Thank you. We love you.
It's Brindle and Diane, so listen up if you can. Yeah, journey with them today as they help you find your way. Oh, mental wellness is the topic of the hour. Mental health and the power to tap into our alignments will lead to our refinement. Phoenix Talk, a show like you've never seen. Phoenix Talks, awareness that has never been. Phoenix Talks with Brindle and Diane. Phoenix Talks, so tune